All right, good evening and welcome to the Mercedes City Commission special meeting, November 7th, 2024, 6:30 PM. And I'll start, of course, by calling the meeting to order. On item number 2, establish quorum. We have Commissioner Joe Martinez. We have Dr. Saldana, also Mayor Pro Tem. We've got Commissioner Garcia. We've got Doc and Commissioner Jacob Howell. We do have a quorum, a full commission. Moving on to the invocation, Mayor Pro Tem, if you wouldn't mind leading us in that? And then
Sure.
Commissioner Martinez, if you'd lead us in the pledge right after.
Yes, sir. Y'all bow your heads, join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and for our free country where we can self-govern. As we take that serious responsibility here in the city and throughout our country, Lord, we ask that you fill us with your spirit and that we may be guided by your word, that the decisions we make will be those that please you and honor the teachings that you have shared with us over the years. Lord, we ask that you guide us tonight, that we make good decisions for the city of Mercedes. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Also, I believe we have our city attorney on, in case we all don't see her here. Marty, can you hear us?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
All right,
Good
we pass
evening.
along our condolences to your husband. I know on the loss of his grandmother. May the Lord bless you all and guide you guys and give you all peace. And thank you for being here in this time.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, open forum. Do we have anybody for open forum? All right. Moving on to item 6, presentations. We have first proclamation for the Children Bereavement Center. Come on up. Are you? Right up there. Just tell us your name. How you doing, Ms. Waddle? Go ahead.
Yes, so we appreciate the opportunity to recognize Children's Grief Awareness Month, which is the month of November, and also recognizing Children's Grief Awareness Day, which is November 21st. The support of the community is important in giving voice to grieving children and letting them know that they're not alone and that they have the community to support.
Oh, and you guys do this, are you centered somewhere in a certain city or?
Children's Bereavement Center is a nonprofit. We provide free counseling for children who have experienced the death of a loved one. We serve all 4 counties in the Rio Grande Valley and have a location in Harlingen and one in McAllen.
I had a niece and a nephew that lost one, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law first, and then within 6 months, my brother-in-law were left orphans, and they went through a lot of hard times, many of them, and I think the Lord blessed them with guidance and counseling and stuff. So thank you for what y'all are doing. I the first time I've heard about it. And I'm glad to hear that this is out there. Is it new? It's been around a long time?
We have been open for 7 years, going on 8, and my condolences to you and your family. Children are often considered the forgotten mourners or grievers because a lot of times they don't manifest or show their grief the way that many adults do. And they don't yet have the vocabulary, emotional vocabulary, or experiences or understanding of how to articulate and express their grief. And so we provide that support through individual counseling, family counseling, support groups. We have children's, teens, and family camps. And so a lot of community education and training as well for other professionals in our community.
Well, thank you for that, ma'am. And I'll go ahead and read the proclamation now. This is from the Office of the Mayor and, of course, with the support of all of our commission. City of Mercedes proclamation. Whereas grief is a natural response to loss, yet children often face unique challenges in navigating their feelings and experiences of grief. And whereas the Children's Bereavement Center of the Rio Grande Valley plays a vital role in supporting grieving children and their families, providing essential resources and programs to help them through their healing journey. And whereas it is crucial to raise awareness about the impact of grief on children's mental and emotional well-being, fostering a compassionate community that understands and supports their needs. And whereas by designating November as Children's Grief Awareness Month and November 21st, 2024 as Children's Grief Awareness Day, we acknowledge the importance of creating strong support systems for grieving children within our schools, families, and organizations. And whereas planned observances, including a candlelight vigil on November 21st, the encouragement of community members to wear blue as a symbol of solidarity, and an awareness campaign featuring workshops and social media efforts will promote understanding and empathy for children navigating loss. Now, therefore, I, Oscar D. Montoya, Mayor of the City of Mercedes, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested in me, and on behalf of the City Commissioners, Dr. Saldana, Dr. Jacob Howell, Commissioner Martinez, and Garcia, do hereby proclaim the month of November as Children's Grief Awareness Month and November 21st, 2024 as Children's Grief Awareness Day. In the City of Mercedes, I urge all citizens to participate in the planned observance and to support the vital work of the Children's Bereavement Center of the Rio Grande Valley in fostering a compassionate community for our children and facing grief. In witness whereof, I have on hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Mercedes to be affixed 7th day of November, 2024. Thank you so much for what you all are
Thank you
doing.
so much for your support.
Mayor, I have
Now-
one quick
Go
question.
ahead,
really.
yeah, sure.
If somebody out there would like to reach out to your organization, how would they go about that? Is there a website? Is there a number?
Yes, that's a great question. Our website is cbcrgv.org. We're also on social media, Children's Bereavement Center RGV, or they can call us at 368-4065. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but all our services are at no cost, and we are able to provide this support through the financial support and contributions of our community. So it's a privilege to be able to do this without that financial barrier.
So we're gonna take a picture with you. That's okay. And what I'd like to do, Albert, if we can make sure that we get not only your flyer for the candlelight visual, so that we can put that on our page and share it. And then the other one is if make sure that all your contact information is on there, so that we can put that on our page, if that's okay with you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, well, let's take a picture. Let's do what politicians do best. Did not know that was available. That's awesome, man. Yes. Okay, also we have now, item 6B, presentation by Pastor Dave Dillon regarding Nomads Project for 2025, which we actually appreciate those guys and gals.
I dig the hats.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Pastor.
So as I was in here a couple of months ago as my, in capacity of the president of Basketball, you expressed an interest in getting involved with our Nomad program, which does outreach and mission to the community. It is now time that we are preparing our list of projects, and I would like to ask this council if they could assist us in identifying 5 to 7 families that need light repair work and this service, and provide that information to us. We have the capacity for it, but identifying those families is always our biggest challenge.
Just to make sure, Pastor, the level of attention that you guys can give is like, we're not talking about new roofs and stuff, like we're talking about windows, stuff like that, or what's the level?
So there's not really a standard level. I will tell you some things that they don't do. They don't do roofs.
So I thought I'd heard that.
Yes, they don't do roofs. They don't do anything that's going to take them longer than 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
To give you an example of some of the things that they have done in the past, they work on churches as well as community homes. The people whose homes they work on must own their home. That is one of the conditions. But for example, they put lights on the side of our sanctuary over a really dark sidewalk and put them on motion sensors. So now when somebody walks down, the lights come on at night.
Oh, okay.
We had a gentleman whose wife, in the community, whose wife contracted cancer, and she was confined to a wheelchair. That wheelchair would not fit through the door of their
Oh,
trailer.
wow.
They ripped out the door, made the door wider, and put in a custom door.
Wow.
There was a family that had a leak at their sink. They had the leak repaired, but the water had seeped into the countertop
Yep.
and rotted the counter. They ripped out the countertop, put in a new countertop with a sink, and resealed the sink. That's the smaller ones. We had one where they completely repainted a structure. They repainted the food bank before. They have come into the food bank, and we have freezers with electrical outlets behind them, and to get back there to plug and unplug the freezer was tough. They ran a conduit up the wall and put a box higher up on the wall that we
Wow.
could conveniently plug in. Now, this past year, there was, we had one project where the family was living in basically one room, and they had gone out there to do some minor repairs, and we were shy on jobs, and so they decided to take on the whole thing, and they built basically a new room.
Wow.
2 rooms.
2 rooms.
2 rooms. They weren't very big, but it was more
Sure.
than they
Better
had.
than they had.
Now, it wasn't, it wasn't code. It was just something that would last and whatever. So they can do things like that.
Okay.
So you can give it to us. We can review them. If there's a specific need, for example, this I tried last year, I'm going to try this year. We have a welding project at the church that if I can get a welder down here, I'll keep him busy all 3 weeks. So if we know those needs beforehand, we can recruit people out of the Nomads group that have those specific skills to come down here. So it's not like we have to confine it to just carpentry and painting.
Okay. What's the timeline? Do you need us to provide some time?
If you could provide that over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Is there a certain sheet with the criteria or something like that you guys have, or is it something that we just kind of have to analyze amongst ourselves and give you a list of
Actually,
potential-
we'll do all the
Yeah.
we'll do all the number crunching work. You just give us
Give you potential
potential
clients, and then you'll
potential
take it from
clients,
there.
and we
Alright.
will screen them from that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Pastor, thank you so much for doing
Okay.
that, and we appreciate
you.
it. Go ahead,
Yes.
Doc.
Last question is,
Uh-huh.
I remember the projects that you mentioned earlier, and the other thing that I don't want that idea to wither on the vine, but we had talked about the potential of creating like a little pool of funding that they could use to purchase materials
Yes.
or cost share that, or I don't know what the deal would be, but the other thing that I think restricts what they can do is resources and the things that people may want done. So it's probably, if there was a fund with a few $1,000 in it, they they could buy stuff that they needed and do it. I don't know, is that a feasible idea or not?
So yes, thank you for, let me go back and touch on that. There is a budget that we also have. We request money from the Nomads, from the Nomad organization. They get donations and we can request money, which we already have. We have an approved budget, and then the church throws in some of our money as well. And then we've had occasions where, on small things, where the Nomads just pay for it out of their pocket and walk away. So we do have a budget and some money to do that, and they supply the labor. We just need those people. Now, I will put before you one project that we tentatively have on our list this year, but there's a problem. And I'm trying to figure out how to work it out. So if you can help me with that, that would be great too. The man basically built his own home. It's out in Indian Hills. It has a gable and then a flat roof, and the part under that flat roof has shifted, settled. And so the roof now kind of has a bow in the middle, and water's collected, and all the sheetrock came down from the roof. The Nomads can go in there and repair the sheetrock, but if we don't fix the roof, then it's not going to do any good. It's just going to happen over again. All he has on there is tar paper. And so CA and I went out there and looked at it, and it could be fixed easily with just putting a small wedge up against the gable to give it a slope, and that would, on top of the flat roof, and that would fix it. But again, the Nomads don't do roofs, and the man actually said he could do it himself if he had the materials. So that's a project I may have to take off of our Nomad list, because again, if I can't get the roof fixed, then the Nomads can't go in and repair the sheetrock. So if you know of somebody that could donate roof time, or maybe a roofer that's in the charity work, you could send that to me as well.
Okay, and how much material are we talking about that he needs?
The house is only it's only like 35 in, and it's about 15. It's basically 2 small rooms.
All right, yeah, we can look around, maybe make some phone calls.
That would be great. Thank you. And in closing, I did find out why football players don't wear glasses. It's a contact sport.
Church must go fast at your church. Huh?
All right.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing Missy over here too. Thank you for coming, Missy. She's a hammer. All right, moving on to presentation by ENGIE regarding industrial batteries.
Are they online?
NG in the house?
Yes, sir. We're online. Can you hear us all right?
Oh, there you go.
How you doing, partner?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for taking the time out to listen to us. I didn't prepare any jokes. It's a little bit funny than I am, but I'll go ahead and share my screen here so you all can see. We've got a short presentation prepared for you. Just bear with me just one moment. Okay, can you see my screen all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Once again, my name is Anthony Hall. I'm with ENGIE North America, and as was mentioned, we are a utility scale battery storage developer. So we are currently looking at developing palladium battery energy storage here in Mercedes. I've got another one of my colleagues on the line as well, Fabrice Leray. He is our Director of Business Development. You can see it on the screen there.
Hello, everyone.
Quick agenda for today's presentation here. So we'll do an overview of ENGIE North America. Who are we? Why battery storage is important for the Texas energy grid and the city of Mercedes. We'll talk about the ENGIE way of development, some examples of our work, and then an overview of the project. So NG North America is a global organization. We've been around for more than 170 years, producing power from all the way to behind the meter at the distributed level. So you can think for homes and businesses, up all the way to the utility scale where we produce power. So we have 7 gigawatts of grid scale renewable projects in operation and construction in the U.S. and 4 gigawatts of energy storage. And we've delivered more than 44 terawatt hours of electricity. While we are a global company, I do want to focus on our operations here in North America. So we have more than 45 years of experience here, more than 4,000 employees across 16 offices, including our Houston headquarters. So we are a Texas-based company. And from our projects, we produce enough power to service 1.5 million homes across the United States. You can see in this map over on the right side, a handful of our projects with large focuses in Texas, California, and the Midwest. But specifically battery storage, as we'll talk about here in a moment, is critically important for Texas's electricity grid. So for battery storage, NG North America is actually the largest developer and operator of these projects in the state. So we have 24 operating projects across the country, 10 under construction and 50 in development. You can see a handful of examples of our projects down below, and then we'll have a few more images for you a little bit later in the slide deck. So why does battery storage matter for the utility grid, and then specifically the city of Mercedes as well? As you all know, our electricity consumption is growing more and more as we continue to expand out industry and population grows. And in order to service that, we need to produce more electricity. And so what battery storage does in the state of Texas specifically is we're going to dramatically improve our resiliency and reliability of that electricity production, especially during significant weather events that are maybe not as easy to predict or plan by the utility. And so this also, as we continue to grow our energy consumption in Mercedes and Hidalgo County and the surrounding area, and that prevents the need, or at least alleviates the need for additional transmission build out, as we can store power when electricity is abundant on the grid and discharge it when it's scarce and when it's needed most, and often extreme weather events like extreme heat or even extreme cold, like we saw a handful of years back. So with that said, this helps diversify our power generation mix and will help bolster the economic strength and certainty for the community as we have that reliable, consistent power around the clock. And then maybe even more tangibly, this represents a minimum 15-year investment in property tax for the city of Mercedes and Hidalgo County, with the potential to increase that duration as well on the back end. So on that last piece, as we develop these projects, go into construction, this will have a substantial sales tax revenue for the city and the state, as well as substantial property tax revenues over the life of the project for the city of Mercedes, Hidalgo County. That could obviously go towards local fire departments, first responders, and then, as is in Texas, the independent school district. And so this represents a multi-million-dollar investment for our organization, would also represent several $1 million worth of tax revenues. Just to maybe illuminate how we do business, right? There is a substantial amount of due diligence that goes into these projects, and much of which has already been underway for quite some time. We work hand in hand with your local utilities to identify the areas that really need that reliable electricity the most. And being at the edge of the grid in South Texas, that is a prime area to extend that power generation. And so we have several interconnection studies with AEP and the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. We do geotech field exploration. We make sure we survey and understand the local topography. We run hydrology studies to understand the flow of water. And then one of the most important things here is we ensure that there's no environmental impacts of our projects and no hazards or impacts to the local community. So as I kind of touched on there, really safety is first and foremost for NG. and it's really bred into the entire culture. And for our projects is top of mind from inception all the way through to operation of these projects. And so that starts as early as the selection of the equipment that's going to go into place, which goes through substantial testing by the manufacturer and on site. That goes into the layout of our sites, and then during operation, constant monitoring, detection, and prevention. And we really see these projects as in close coordination or a partnership with the local community. So we'll be working with your first responders and fire departments to ensure proper training is in place and any other additional educational measures that need to take place. But ultimately, we believe that prevention and avoidance is the best route for us to take here to ensure that we're designing low risk systems that are safe for the community and meeting and achieving or exceeding the highest industry standards. And to that point, just with this industry having been around for more than a decade, there are several codes and standards that have already gone through many iterations and third-party testing and validated by several different organizations or governing bodies to ensure that when we're designing these systems, we are putting forth the safest projects possible. One of those codes, the National Fire Protection Association, is one of the preeminent codes for battery storage. And NG always designs our projects, regardless of local ordinance, to meet and exceed those safety requirements. And we're able to leverage our substantial construction and operational experience to ensure that we're putting together the best systems. So here's just a couple of images from some of our projects. So during construction, what an energy storage container might look like. You can imagine almost like a shipping container, if you will, full of lithium-ion batteries. During construction, what a site would look like. And then during actual operation, everything cleaned up, cordoned off safely. And finally, the last item I want to touch on, I've taken up quite a bit of your time here, is the actual development itself. So Palladium Battery Energy Storage, located on the southwest side of the city, is a 150 megawatt project. That said, it can provide power roughly to what's called 100,000 homes or so, depending on the size of those homes. But it's located on 10 acres of private land and would interconnect to your local utility, AEP, at their 138 kV substation. And really, I want to emphasize that the need for that substation that's critical to the infrastructure for the transmission system and also the city of Mercedes. And so the selection of this location is to be in close proximity to that substation to ensure that we can once again provide those grid services. And then last couple of things here, just to kind of put it into scale. This is a couple hundred feet off of the road there, the main road there. And this would qualify based off of NFPA as a remote installation, meaning it should not pose any immediate concern to the public, given its remote location. And then moreover, we're also located at or above the elevation of, as we've discussed in the past, Llano Grande. And as we design our site, that elevation would be increased even more. But that's all I have currently, but would love to answer any questions if we can.
So I have a couple questions. One, so have y'all closed down any locations? And the reason I asked that, I may as well tell you up front, is I think some of the biggest issues with these is cleanup when people leave. And I know there's been a lot of strides made in that, making sure that the environment is, better than when you got there. And that obviously that's going to have to be somewhere written down within us if it does move forward. That's why I was asking that. So is that something you all do as a matter of business, or is that something that needs to be imposed by us? Or
fair question. So we have not decommissioned
okay, good.
Any of these projects yet. Sorry, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have not decommissioned these projects, as our typical life is going to be 15, 20 years plus. So in this case, a 15-year project. That said, we do take considerations upfront for the decommissioning process. And I think being such a large company as well would want to make sure that that is done correctly and would have sufficient funds to be able to do that as well.
Perfect.
But I've taken that down as a note.
Yeah, and then I think the other issue I have with the a lot of those, and I'm sure you run into this wherever you go, the majority of the people in that area, or the majority of what we have in there, is housing. So our roads that go in there aren't necessarily made to handle heavy equipment, 18-wheelers with heavy stuff. So I also want to make sure we keep an eye on our roads. I don't know if that's something that you all run into, or you guys can either help us solidify the road or just make sure that it doesn't get torn up any more than it is. Is that something that you all are involved in as well?
Certainly, yes, sir. So as we're going through our process, we would coordinate with TxDOT as well to ensure that this is in compliance with them. If we do need to make any road improvements based off of the layout of the facility, that is an opportunity as well. But yeah, we would absolutely want to make sure that we're only adding to the existing infrastructure and in no way taking away.
All right, so the tough questions out of the way, but I am actually excited about this project. I think it's good for us. Is there any benefit to Mercedes in having a power plant there that would put us, I know you mentioned our name a lot, so I don't know if that was just to help us vote for it, or if it really does it benefit Mercedes for us to have it there?
Yes, sir. So really, I guess the two big things here is the bolstering of your grid, right? So that substation right there will actually drop down into your distribution system for the rest of the city as well. And so ensuring that you have reliable power being brought to you throughout the year would be a benefit directly to Mercedes to improve your grid as you continue to grow out. So I know that's maybe a little bit harder to bring down to the individual home level.
No, that you answered my question. At the end of the day, you guys are adding to what AEP either has or lacks in this area, right?
I had one question, Mayor.
I got one last one, and then I'll send it over to the doctor. My last one is this kind of happening around Texas in response to the freeze that occurred? So that does this help us move towards not having the problem we had with ERCOT last time? Does this help that out?
That has been a very large driver of grid reliability, and so that's why you've seen the large growth of these systems across all of ERCOT, because battery storage specifically is one of the most versatile assets in the sense that it can both charge and discharge and provide multiple services to maintaining that grid reliability, especially in these, I guess, extreme weather conditions. So yes, sir.
So it would be safe to say that if anybody goes against this, it hurts what occurred to us when we ran out of power. We would be standing in the way of improving our capabilities in the state of Texas.
That would be a fair statement. Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I just had one question. This is Commissioner Howell, Dr. Jacob C. Howell, sir. One, I'm excited about the project. I would love for you all to be here at the City of Mercedes. If it's not Site A, hopefully, we're always welcome to Site B. I'm all for innovation, but safety for the city of Mercedes and our citizens. My question may or may not have been kind of partially answered. So can ENGIE North America provide solutions that both reduce energy costs for our residents and at the same time generate revenue for the city?
Fair question. So I guess the straight answer, or more straightforward answer, would be that based off of the market design of ERCOT, in theory, by providing more energy and by producing or creating this generation asset, it would bring down power costs. It's not something, once again, that you're going to see necessarily at the individual home level. As there's ERCOT, and then you have your local provider as well. But as these build out more and more, that would be the idea, is that we're able to provide more power at the right times that would ultimately bring down your power costs. But it's not necessarily something you're going to directly see after this project is developed. If that's a
yes, I see that point of view. Also, now how about on the revenue side for our city?
Yes, sir. So in terms of tax receipts, absolutely. So we would be providing tax revenues for both the city of Mercedes as well as Hidalgo County, and then we would be contributing to the independent school district as well. And so that would be in the form of sales tax upfront during the construction process, and then our actual property taxes over the life of the asset.
All right,
just
that's
something to
pretty
men-
much it from my end. So hopefully y'all
Just
make Mercedes home.
something to mention about the tax when the asset's going to be in operation. The footprint we're going to have is really small compared to the revenue you're going to obtain.
Agreed.
So that's something significant comparing to wind farm, solar farm. The footprint is
Oh, yeah.
way much larger,
Yeah.
and our footprints are really reduced. But you're going to capitalize a lot on the revenue.
Yeah, I don't got anything
From the
against
tax
wind
standpoint.
farms, but
So
you guys are much better than that.
North America, I did a little research on you guys. North America, you all cover the U.S. and Canada, but their main headquarters is France, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Saldana, go ahead.
I had a couple of questions. Palladium, hopefully they're not going to be full of palladium because they may not be full of it for very long. That's just a company or the name of the project. I would hope, because that's pretty expensive stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank goodness that's not the case. No, it will not be full of palladium.
You want to make that clear at the entrance.
I may be breaking into those batteries myself. Retail sales is something that you mentioned. What do you all sell out there? Is that from the sale of the power back onto the grid, or is there any other sources or venues for sales?
Yeah, I want to be sure I understand the question. I guess so. Maybe
You promised revenue to the city through property taxes and then through retail sales.
Oh, sorry. I meant essentially sales tax that we'd be paying for purchasing our equipment in your zip code.
Oh, so that would just be for the purchase of equipment that you would need to install?
Correct.
Okay.
We got something for that too. We need our city manager to talk to you about. So,
And what is the natural lifespan of those batteries? I mean, how long do they last before you got to go put in some more or call it a day?
Yes, sir. So typically anywhere from 15 to 20 years, and often we can replace the batteries and extend that substantially past that as well. So at once a large portion of the plant is installed that connects to that substation, that is something that we want to continue to potentially maintain, even if the batteries themselves need to be swapped out.
Okay, thank you.
okay, if I don't have any other questions, I'm gonna pull out of consent agenda item 7B and like to entertain a motion to authorize this, but without the reading of the.
Mayor, I make a motion to authorize this and forego the reading.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez, second by Dr. Howell. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Welcome to Mercedes, guys. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all for your time.
And
Appreciate it.
the important
Talk to you
color,
again.
the important color to wear is orange, burnt orange.
Noted.
On a scoreboard that says NG on top, but we'll talk
There you
about that
go.
later.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Good night.
Okay, moving on to item 6D, presentation by TxDOT regarding the municipal maintenance agreement. Thank you, Mr. Siller, for waiting. Appreciate your patience, sir.
See, you were taken aback when they mentioned TxDOT there.
A little bit. Just a little bit, but when you said burnt orange, we're all about the safety orange, right? So
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Jokes, right?
Yeah, no.
It's Thursday night, folks.
So, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Hector Siller. I'm the area engineer for Hidalgo County for TxDOT. I oversee all of Hidalgo County construction and maintenance operations. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my business card here. So today I'm here to talk about the MMA. You all have, I believe we already signed it. We're waiting on just one more document on the electrical services on Exhibit D, and then after that we'll go ahead and process. But I want to show you, I'm using our technology here. I'm going to be going through this real quickly. I gave you a one-sheeter that kind of covers this presentation. It's a little bit easier to follow, but the presentation, really the MMA, the Municipal Maintenance Agreement, this by the Transportation Code, we need to have one of these with every incorporated city. And we're supposed to update these within every census year, and we hadn't updated them in a while for some cities. So the last one we had on file with the city of Mercedes was in 2013, and some cities I've had some from 1990s that we hadn't updated. So we in July we took the initiative to update all of them across the valley, and here in Hidalgo it's 19 cities. So we're missing a couple. I think we're doing good, but wanted to kind of talk about it. There's really not many changes in this municipal maintenance agreement, and I'm going to just quickly outline some of the major changes. So these are state responsibilities, some of our general conditions, and the things there that you'll see is some mailbox supports that we've updated, some markings, some roadside barrier, structural supports, culverts, some items on culverts and retaining walls. But where I think you all will really appreciate some of the changes, I believe, is going to be on the drainage and on the sidewalk items, right? So on the drainage state requirements, the state is responsible for structural maintenance and repair of drainage facilities within the right of way and state drainage easements. However, the city is still responsible for regular cleanup and litter control to ensure the drainage facilities are clear and anything outside of the right of way. So this one, most of the cities have been happy about, and I'll be honest, some of our maintenance guys at TxDOT, they found this to be a little bit more difficult for us, right? Because now under this agreement, the change is that the new construction of sidewalks or other accessibility related items by either party need to comply with ADA. That's a known, right? But the state is responsible for structural maintenance and repair of these items. So in the past, the cities would cover some of these sidewalk repairs. So now this TxDOT's taking ownership of that. So if there's sidewalk within some of our, on the frontage roads or on some of the non-controlled access facilities, TxDOT's going to be responsible for maintaining those. In the past, cities were. So most of the cities are happy about this. The city's still responsible for maintenance of these accessibility related items. So just ensuring the clearing of debris and vegetation. So there's a difference, controlled and non-controlled. I'm sure you're aware, but controlled is basically our expressway, right? And non-controlled, any of the FM roads where it's non-controlled access. So on the non-controlled, the city's responsibilities, the city is responsible for parking restrictions, crosswalks, signage, and markings of intersecting streets, privately owned utilities, pavement sweeping, mowing and litter cleanup, ice control, and more. So this remains unchanged. It just adds some clarity on the agreement. It specifies that the city is still responsible for cleanup and litter control of drainage facilities outside of the roadway. So on the non-controlled access, the state responsibilities, it provides clarity that the state is responsible for school safety devices and installation and operation of traffic signals in cities of less than 50,000. So you all, I think, are 16, 17,000. So we're still going to be doing that. So it's still kind of identical. So on the controlled access, here's where, and there's been questions from some cities on this one. The city is responsible for cleaning and sweeping any pavement that is not the traveled surface or shoulders, including underneath grade separated structures. So anything, if you have an overpass, the city is responsible for underneath those areas. The city is responsible for mowing and pickup of any litter between the right-of-way line and the outermost curb of the frontage road. So example, we're still providing the mowing, the litter, the sweeping services, but we only do those 3 to 4 times per year. We have cycles, right? So in the in-between, and that's only because we have the availability. If there was no funding or for whatever reason, which I don't see that happening, then the city would have to take over that. But we do have this these contracts available. And so the city is responsible for everything not explicitly defined as that of the state. Everything else remains the same. And on the controlled access, the state responsibility, mowing and litter cleanup, kind of what we're talking about, and snow and ice control in the right of way, our responsibility to the state. We can assist with these items. That's what we're doing with these contracts that we have. And sweeping, installing school safety devices, and maintenance of drainage facility remains state responsibility within the right of way. And so basically that, in a nutshell, there hasn't been many changes to the agreement. It's just we're trying to update these across the whole state of Texas and City of Mercedes is one of them that I'm still pending. Well, now we signed it, but just wanted to present this to you all, and I welcome any questions, anything that I could help with.
Yeah, I have a question real quick.
Go ahead, Doc.
I noticed what you'd put on the controlled and all, but does that also include any landscaping?
So the landscaping, typically, let's say if we have a construction project, we'll enter an advanced funding agreement with the cities, and they will be responsible for the maintenance of the landscaping. We don't do any landscaping unless there's an advanced funding agreement.
Because I know that that's been the biggest question for the longest time. We have some landscaping over here on Texas and frontage.
Yes.
Right as you're turning right onto Texas,
Correct.
there's that little strip of I don't know how big is it, Mondo? Where the landscaping's at. I mean, that's always been the biggest fight, was who was responsible for the upkeep. When we were on the beautification committee, we were told that we could not touch that. We could not do anything to it because you guys were responsible for it, and so we could never add any new flowers. We could never touch that. Now you're telling me, no, we have to keep up with it. So
That's
I was
correct.
just always curious, like, so is it us or is it you?
So we have another type of agreement. It's a landscaping agreement, and I'm working with a couple of cities, with the city of Alamo and Westaco, I believe, where I'm working on landscaping agreements. We won't maintain those because we typically don't. We install them for the cities when there's funding in a construction project, but we won't go do just a project just for landscaping.
But you will allow us to go
Yes,
ahead
we
and
will,
make
yes.
upgrades and things
Absolutely.
like that.
So there's an agreement, there's a process in place. I can send you that information, and then we can look at opportunities. One thing about those, if you're doing something along the expressway, one thing to keep in mind is when we have irrigation system, a leak system or something, sometimes some of those leak over time, and it causes issues with our retaining walls. So we're just very careful with what we allow along the expressway.
Well, this one is actually across the street from the expressway,
Okay, so yeah,
kind of along frontage. But like I said, that had always been the biggest back and forth, right? And then when we try to do something, we were told we couldn't because you guys that's yours and we couldn't touch it. Stuff
yeah,
like that.
no, we can enter into landscaping agreement, and the only thing there's some things that we won't allow. I had let's say a Panda Express request that with the city to put gravel bedding on the right of way, and we don't allow that because that right of way still has to be accessible to TxDOT. If there's a landscaping agreement in place, we're not going to go and damage it either, right? And we'll be responsible for upkeeping it if we damage something, but. Yeah, no, we can work on something. I can send you those agreements and the process.
So I've got and this was way before your time, but so you said you all are responsible for drainage under the expressways, right?
Yeah, baby. Here we go.
So it depends. So so like just a storm drain, correct?
That's correct.
So
Yes.
if we install
Not
it-
necessarily the storm drain, but the conveyance of water. When TxDOT came through here many years ago and redid our highway, they took our open flows and enclosed them, okay? Which then we lost capability of holding water and running water. I got no problem with what was done. What I don't know is if TxDOT goes in there and cleans them before storms,
Yes, sir.
a portion from one end to the other, because what it's happening here in Mercedes, we struggle to push water from south to north or north to south, depending, and we have both here. We have south to north here on this side and north to south on this side. And a lot of that stuff was plugged up, and when we had the big rains here, I was the emergency manager at the time for the county, and we had to literally bring trucks from McAllen to bore as much as we could to clean those places out, to blow them out. So I just want to make sure every chance I get Pete speak somewhere, I raise my hand and I bring that up because it's just really important to us. And all you gotta do is drive over here. You'll see what I'm talking about. The water just, until it stabilizes, it's like this. And then it starts to stabilize and it's like that. And our residents they're literally underwater. The houses go underwater when that occurs. So I just want to make sure if that's something that we contact you for, like we'd like to be, and I get it. The state of Texas has a lot of roads, right? You have a lot of area to cover. but those things have got to be maintained, man, because the water just won't run through it.
Right.
There were some places that I guess had never been looked at, so I don't know if that's your responsibility, the city, but we need to figure that out. Where they couldn't even open the gates or close them for that matter, because nobody had ever, I mean, we're talking about 10 years ago. I don't think you were there 10 years ago, right? 10, 12 years ago in charge, right?
I don't know if I was alive.
Maybe.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think so. So we couldn't literally in Alamo, we couldn't open them because it had rusted through the gates. So are you
It's
all doing that
907?
kind of maintenance? I'm sorry?
It's on 907.
Oh, right on
I think
907.
I'm aware of that issue on 907, close to the intersection.
It's still there?
So that gate has been lifted. We don't install gates and we don't.
Yes,
we
I
don't-
realize that. So at the time, what I'm trying to clear up is nobody knew who was responsible for it.
Well,
and I'm
we
hoping-
solved it. I mean,
Okay, you did.
We're working on, we actually removed the gate.
Okay,
but,
perfect.
they're on Alamo, but besides the point, so
No, that's a great point. I'm glad you're telling me that
Okay,
because that's what
yeah.
I'm saying about here. So at the end of the day, we need to contact you
Correct.
guys and you guys are going to help out with that. Okay.
correct. And we're working with the city there in that case to actually try to figure out a way to improve the drainage. So you've probably heard in the past that TxDOT we're not in the business of doing drainage, but we are, right? We care about what's going on because we build something, we have to make sure we maintain it. So in the case for these drainage facilities, right, we have a new contract. I think it's been available these last 2 years where we have somebody to go clean out inlets. So
Oh,
before
perfect.
storms come in, sometime in between maybe starting in January to up to before hurricane season, where we go throughout the district and clean out all our inlets. As a matter of fact, I've had to pull over myself and clean up an inlet, right? Because if you see some debris on there, we want to make sure that we have the capabilities, right? So we've also worked with our partners. Example, let's say we had an issue in Alamo. We asked the city of Mission at the time, they had a vac truck available for us. So we are cognizant, we're aware of the issues that we have.
Perfect.
Now, if there's a particular one that you want us to look at, you send it over my way and we'll take a look at it. But we do have a schedule where we go through the expressway. We focus primarily on the expressway, but then we definitely on the frontage roads and any other.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the grates that you're talking about help you drain your highway. I'm talking about the pipes that are underneath that you all installed when you built the highways,
Right.
that those are clear so that our water travels. And so we don't have to figure it out right now. I'm glad you're telling me that you're the main contact. That way we can discuss it with you further after this is over.
Mayor, I had something on that point. Sure. Are you done, Mayor? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So Mayor touched base on a great topic and that's dear to us here at the city, but right there where he's talking about the underpass, like, as far as the maintenance, like, would y'all be able to, it's even though it's kind of like, I guess, an inlet or some piping, but would y'all be able to inspect it? Like, not just clean it out, but maybe somehow put like a camera in there, because it always gets flooded for at some point at that area, certain areas, well, other areas, and we've been very diligent to work on these areas, and things are improving dramatically through the city. But going to the north side, those citizens suffer a lot, especially during that underpass area. It's it's an important area to either exit. It's an emergency point, and it floods. So I think, is there any way that you guys could maybe check it out at some point, schedule something with our city manager or something to I guess put a snake camera in there and check it out to see maybe you guys could and I'm glad you came, because now we have, like Mayor said, someone to a contact person and a point of contact. And in 2018, I wrote you all an ugly letter, and I apologize to TxDOT. But it was for the concerns of our citizens and our residents.
Right.
But I appreciate you coming by, sir.
Absolutely. So we have a rover. We have a little go-kart thing that goes through these structures, and we can check them out. We do ask the city. In some cases, I used to be the assistant in Cameron County and Willacy County, and we've had some issues in Harlingen where some structures that you're mentioning underneath the expressway that we can't access. It's very difficult. So we partner with the cities to figure out a way to do
Absolutely.
it. But we do have we have a contract that cleans out these structures. We send the camera and then basically flush it out, right? If there's any debris in there.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Just two things. One, thank you for coming. We got that agreement and we read it. It was wonderful reading. But but I thought that, you know, that coming and having just a quick conversation about, you know, it just helps eliminate any misunderstandings that might occur. And then something doesn't get done because each side thinks the other one's supposed to be doing it, and then neither party does it. But this has been great help. You've been very responsive and helpful, and we appreciate it. Okay, so that's one. The other is we don't have anything on the agenda, so we can't really talk about it, but this may fall in the follow-up category as the other item is we've had safety concerns on North FM 491 at a school where we've actually had fatalities there, and the police department says they have no jurisdiction over that roadway because it's a state highway. And I know that there are plenty of caution lights that get put up in front of schools on state highways. There may be limitations as to what can be done to stop traffic or for pedestrian crossings and things like that. But that's one thing I want to see if we can add to that sort of to a discussion at some point, is maybe to have you go look at that particular site that we have. We have another one on South 491, and we do have flashing lights there just to warn people, because you know, we had a lady rear end a school bus and she lost her life in that accident, and there's just nothing out there. And school buses are big, and they stop, and if you know, you're one text away from rear ending a school bus if you're not paying attention.
No, yeah, definitely. And if you'd like to set up a meeting, or I can send you some information on that, we've done.
But that falls within your purview. That's something you could do something about.
It does. Well, we can look. Usually it's if there's a need, if there's a determined need, right, or there's a city ordinance to establish like that you need a crossing in certain areas, then we can help out with that, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I'll welcome any discussions on those.
Thank you.
Hector, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And thank you for answering tough questions and good questions. Appreciate you, man.
Good
I
job.
appreciate you all.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Sadani, for bringing that up for the kids.
Moving on to item, I believe it's, we have on the addendum item 6E, presentation by Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, and Collins and Mott LLP. Collection report, October 1st, 2023, September 30th, 2024.
Not wearing orange.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Pettis, honorable members of the commission. My name is Iram Gutierrez. I'm partner with Purdue, Brandon Fielder, Collins and Mott, your delinquent tax collection firm and fine and fee firm. Also with me here is my law partner, Janelle Caso. And
She is wearing orange.
Great color.
Now you know why she gets clapped for, bro.
She comes prepared.
She comes
I think
prepared.
this is working. Let's.
IT. Went in the right place.
All right.
All right, yeah, just give them that, you know,
All right.
one of them, you know. There you go.
All right. The collection program for Mercedes, the city of Mercedes, is designed with an emphasis on working with your taxpayer. To that end, our local office has made over 2,200 phone contacts with your taxpayers. We've mailed out over 1,600 letters to your delinquent taxpayers, and we updated address on over 300 accounts. As part of our pre-litigation program, we also, if the letters and the phone calls are not having the desired effect, we also do field inspections. We go visit taxpayers at their home, or if it's a business personal property, at the place of business. 178 inspections during this period. Once we contact your taxpayers, they're not always able to pay in full. So we do enter into formal payment agreements, and in some cases. During this period, we entered into 26 formal payment agreements involving over $39,000 in base tax. When the calls, the letters, and the personal visits don't have the desired effect, we do, as a last resort, enter into litigation. During this period, we filed 89 original petitions or interventions involving over $328,000 in base tax owed to the city. Another tool we have for business personal property accounts, the inventory, furniture, and fixtures, are tax warrants. we can send the constable or the sheriff over to the place of business and try to collect. And if that doesn't work, they'll seize property and sell it at auction. During this period, we filed 3 warrants involving over $7,000 in base tax owed to the city of Mercedes. We also represent you in federal court in bankruptcies and also in federal seizures. During this period, there have been no seizures, but we have had 8 bankruptcies, claims for you, involving over $11,000 in base tax owed to the city of Mercedes. Once we take a judgment, we still try to work with your taxpayers. We try to see if they're still willing to come and pay. However, if that doesn't work, we do proceed to tax sales during this period. We put 8 properties up for tax sale. The results of that was 8 of those properties were sold, involving over $65,000 for the city of Mercedes. 4 of those properties were either entered into payment agreements or were paid in full, over $12,000 in base tax in that case. And if there is no winning bid, in other words, no bid that it was either the judgment amount or the amount that was owed in taxes and costs, the property gets struck off to the taxing entities. 1 property was struck off to the taxing entities.
That's ours now.
And this is a snapshot of your delinquent tax roll. This particular case, it was at the end of October. And what I'd like to bring to your attention, the delinquent tax roll at that point was just over $1.1 million. And there in pink or peach, whatever that color, that represents the counts in deferral. Those are accounts where the owner is either over 65 or disabled or both, and their property is protected because of that deferral. There's over $400,000 in base tax that is in deferral. Of course, all our efforts are geared to one goal, and that is to collect your delinquent taxes. And I'm proud to tell you that during this period, we've collected over $219 in base tax and over $116,000 in penalties and interest for a grand total of $336,000. This is a comparison of the delinquent base tax collected this year versus last year. And as you can see, base tax collections increased considerably during this period, this fiscal year versus the last fiscal year. Now, I'm going to be presenting to you the delinquent fine and fee collections for you, and I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this one because I can't see.
I know the feeling.
During this period, we made over 2,000 phone contacts, people that own fine and fees to the city of Mercedes. We mailed out over 4,600 letters to your delinquent fine and fee, people that own delinquent fine and fees, that is. And we have done over 380 address updates. And of course, the collections for this period, we collected over $41,000. And also, cases in red there, those are cases resolved. For whatever reason, the judge decided to dismiss that case. Over $13,000, almost $14,000 in fine and fees that were dismissed during this period. This zip code represents the top 10 zip codes that owe fine and fees, delinquent fine and fees to the city of Mercedes. And as you might expect, most of them are right here in your area. But however, this represents all the people that owe fine and fees to the city of Mercedes. And as you can see, they're spread out all over the country.
Where's the chief? We can go pick him up.
Even we got someone even in Miami.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna go check on that one myself.
Go with
And that's my joke. So, since August 2016, we started collecting fine and fees for you. We have collected over $300,000 and $279,000 that have been resolved either because they were dismissed. In some cases, people are, have died already, so cases are dismissed. And that's my report for you. And thank you very much. Open it up for any questions you may have.
It's a good report. What I was gonna ask about is, and I don't know if you all are helping us with this or it's just directly the city, but the scofflaw deal, have we gotten anywhere with that? I know for whatever reason, I got a call from somebody from over there about it, and they didn't even know what they were asking me, so I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Well, scofflaw is something that you do through the county. Basically, if you become a member of the scofflaw, You send all your finding fees that are owed to you. And when somebody's trying to renew their registration, they're going to have an issue. That gives us another tool that we can use when we mail and we call the defendant. We can let them know you're going to have, if you don't pay this, you're not going to be able to renew your.
But I guess what I'm asking is, are we doing that, or are you all doing that for us? Have you all been involved in that at all? The scofflaw?
No, I think you want to be part of it. I think you already inquiring about it to become part of the scofflaw program.
I would like for us to be
We
a part
already
of it.
reached out to the county.
That's probably why they called me.
Yes,
Okay,
we're pushing it, so.
all right.
Mayor, while he's up there, there's another item under ordinances and
ordinance
resolutions that belongs to them.
Do we gotta make
9G.
a,
Yes,
do we
I'm
gotta
gonna
make
move
a motion to move it up, or we good?
No, I'll just, I'll move
Did
it.
you say 9G?
Yeah, 9G, so,
It's an
How come I only
addendum.
have 9?
It's on the addendum.
Addendum.
it's on the addendum, second page.
Sorry, I'm getting up there.
9G?
It's on the addendum.
9G.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Mayor, I make a motion to move up item 9G, the approval resolution
I have a motion
2024-34.
by Commissioner Martinez. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. We are now on item 9, ordinance resolution, approval resolution 2024-34, authorizing the resale of foreclosed real estate properties for failure to pay ad valorem taxes.
Yes, sir.
As I said it earlier, when there's no winning bid at the original tax sale, the property becomes the property of the taxing entities. And we can sell those properties through a tax resale. And we are planning to have a tax resale in January. There is one property that we'd like to put up in this resale. The city needs to pass a resolution authorizing the sale of the property and the suggested starting bid. This is a property that we put up for sale back in September of 2024, did not sell. At that time, we attempted to sell it for $17,000, did not sell. We are proposing to put it on resale with a minimum bid of $10,000.
Is that one right there that you're talking about, that item, or that home, is that it, or?
That is the property.
Okay.
There is an aerial representation of where the property is. This is a fairly large property.
Yeah, 1.5 acres, yeah.
Yeah. The problem with it is it's landlocked. It's
What?
landlocked.
I'm sorry?
So
Landlocked.
really the only people that are
Access to
gonna be interested in is.
Is ATA.
And it's, where exactly is that?
It's on Alamos, where ATA y Hinojosa lives,
See where
due
that
east
yellow
of it.
is, the highlighted?
So, and how much is owed
That's
to the
it?
schools and all that?
Yeah.
Hell,
I have that.
Yeah,
We'll buy a
that's
helicopter.
491.
Oh, okay. Got it. Where that's at?
The judgment amount was $14,115
I mean, the-
at the
So,
time the judgment was taken.
so if we just stayed with the property, was that what it would cost? No, minus ours.
There's the apartments right there, right?
Like if you wanted to buy it from the
Yes.
other entities?
Yes.
Well, the city can bid on this piece of property, starting bid could, if no one else bids on it, it could be $10,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Maybe
The
that's what we
city,
could-
if the city was interested and you don't want it to go to resale, and maybe you want to approach the other entities and say, look, we'd like to buy this
That's what I'm
property,
talking about.
and we'll pay everybody out. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what? That's the area that we would have to start cutting, right, behind Arch? That would be
That's
close to that
along
area?
Orange Street ditch, yes.
Yeah.
So,
me
okay,
go
let me
look
ask you
city
this.
storage
Let me ask you
facility.
this. I guess, man, so if we approve this resolution, can we table this? Will it hurt anything if we wait for the next meeting?
No, we simply,
2 weeks.
we're kind of on a time, 2 weeks? No, I think that would.
Okay. That'll give us a
would be
chance to
fine. That would
discuss
take
it.
us into,
She looks nervous about
Yeah,
that. Is
it-
there a problem?
it's gonna get,
Because she's the one.
Nothing
told
new.
her to Hurry up
Yeah.
and get it done, yeah.
right. Yeah,
4 consecutive
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. And we're trying to put it on the
January.
January tax sale, which is the first Tuesday of January, so.
We'll get it by.
Yeah, we'll get it. So 2 weeks, and only because that's when our city is. If it's really, really bad, give them a call. We'll have a special meeting.
Well,
real
I
quick.
mean, even within the 2 weeks, you'll have the 4 weeks time, right? Because you'll still have most of December and part of November.
we need,
so
we
I
need to
think-
do, there's something we need to
Is
discuss in
that- is that
executive
correct,
session
Mayor?
on this.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So,
So do I have to
Right.
resend the vote, Mayor?
no, you're,
Or-
no, we're gonna,
Table
yeah,
it?
we're gonna go ahead and table it
Okay.
and, for the next meeting.
Okay.
That's- all right?
Sir.
Right, let us know. And if there's any questions, anything we can help you with, let us know.
I appreciate it.
Just to make sure I understand, these are cumulative totals, right? It's, because I got, this is the quarter 3, and then what you shared with us is quarter 4. And so as each quarter, you
I'm
just-
showing you the whole fiscal year
Right,
from
okay.
October 1st through the end of September. October 1st, 2023 through the end of September 2024.
24, okay.
Your
So
fiscal year,
these figures are not just for the fourth quarter, they're for the
No.
whole year.
The whole year.
They're the fiscal year.
the whole fiscal year.
Good job, guys.
All right, thank you, guys. Good job, man.
Thank you so
Well
much
done.
for the wonderful work you guys do for our community.
Yeah, you know. Come on, you know.
Happy birthday, Adam. Happy
Very
birthday.
much.
And for wearing orange.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, moving on to, consent agenda. Of course, we already voted on B, so it'd be consent agenda, item A and C.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve items A, the approval of minutes for meeting October 15th, and C, the second and second and final reading of ordinance 2024-18.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 8A, approval agreement for temporary closure, state right-of-way for the Veterans Day Parade.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to actually approve items 8A and B. A for the Veterans Day Parade and B for the Christmas parade,
I
sir.
have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner, Dr. Howell. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 9, ordinance and resolution. Present, discuss, consider possible take action regarding approval of first reading of ordinance 2024-19 to increase all business license new renewal fees in the city of Mercedes.
Did y'all get a copy of what was being proposed?
Yes.
Several comparisons that were made with similar city sizes. Alton, Palmview being one of them, I believe Alton was another one. And so there's a proposal anywhere in the range. We're so far behind, these hadn't been looked at in quite some time. So we're trying to catch up on updating our licenses for businesses.
So how much was the increase in general, just overall?
We've been charging about $25, sir. For the
Question.
longest time.
Wow.
In the write-up that
Yes, sir.
Adrian wrote up.
Yes,
he
sir.
said that, he didn't give any exact numbers, but, he said that there's 330 businesses estimated,
Yes,
that a substantial amount of them did not have their business permits
Yes.
posted.
yes,
And then even those that did, some amount of those were expired.
Yes.
Like they went and got it the first time and then they never
Yes.
applied for renewal.
yes,
So they're operating on the very first one that they ever applied for.
yes.
Instead of
And I
And
wonder.
I'll give you a perfect
my-
one that's an industrial business that,
Oh, don't tell me that.
yes,
That's one of them, huh?
yes.
Well, didn't that surprise me? So I guess my question is, do we have
assistant?
Now we do.
an estimate of how many of those 330 businesses are operating under a current permit?
About half of them.
About half.
So the problem's been, and so we were outnumbered. Now with the second code enforcer,
Sure.
this is what's allowing us the bandwidth to be able to go and verify and check. So now we have a system in place that we're logging and keeping track of
There it is.
renewals.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a system that's gonna trigger a letter that's gonna tell them you're due or you're past due, and it'll trigger an assignment or work.
Yeah, because if you go, you get your first one and nobody comes knocking, well,
Yes.
Welcome to the 19th century.
Mayor, I'll make
Mercedes.
a motion to approve the first reading and forego the reading of ordinance
What- I just-
2024-19.
I just have one more
Okay,
concern, but I
hang
guess
on,
we
let
can
me
wait till.
finish that. Let me finish the motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. Go ahead, Doc.
Well, I mean, I thought we had already started the conversation before that, but I mean, right now you're talking about like the industrial, and then there's always small businesses. I mean, we want to remain business friendly, but I also understand at the same time we need to update those permits.
Yes, sir.
Now, would we be able to go off of some type of tier system at the same time, maybe, where,
Such as,
well, for instance, the industrial, they'll pay the larger companies that bring in a certain amount of revenues or a tax base, pay a certain amount versus a small mom and pop shop. I mean, is that amount, are they gonna pay the same for that certain license, or?
the price is the same because the required, the number of visits is gonna be the same. So, and I'll give you an example. An industrial will probably not require as much inspecting as a restaurant will. Restaurant requires more consistent visits because of the health-related issues when you're delivering food. In industrial, it's a yearly inspection from the fire marshal probably and code enforcement. Are your exits lit up? Are your, entries, doorways and everything cleared? All those having to do with emergency-related matters. If there's drainage situations, if there's anything coming into our systems, whether it's on the sewer side or the water side, and so on and so forth. Those are big ticket items, but they don't require the intense follow-up.
What would be the increase, that you're proposing? What's the increase again?
And
Go from
recommend-
25 to
Right,
80. It's like 100 for your first time and then 80 to renew.
to renew, correct.
And that's a year, right?
And we're comparing with other cities.
Right, yes, sir.
So we didn't go out there and just say, we just want to do
Right,
this.
we're
It's
just
been outdated for a while.
Yes, they have not been looked at for a
out
long
of
time.
compliance stuff.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's still a pretty good bargain. I mean, we're within the range of other cities as well.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
nothing crazy, and I think
Small
that's just-
cities, we considered, we focused on the smaller cities.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 9B, approval of first reading of ordinance 2024-20 regarding vacation rental platform permits.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of a first reading of ordinance 2024-20 regarding vacation rental platform permits and waive of the reading. I assume this is, these are Airbnb
And there's,
Properties.
and there's others.
Others.
and there's others.
Yes.
Because I noticed there's, well,
Yes.
that's my motion.
I have a motion by Dr. Saldana. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Garcia. Discussion?
Yeah, on these permits, just kind of explain or kind of just go over it. I was reading it, but I was just kind of trying to understand. These are permits that anybody that would be renting out an Airbnb here in Mercedes would have to.
Yes, sir. And by the way, they're all subject to hotel tax. None of them have been paid.
And most of them are
That's-
probably
that's-
charging it because they
that's
still
state
charge
law.
tax. They just don't pay.
So the city's been.
So this is our way of keeping track of all of that.
We need to register them so we know where they're at.
Yeah.
We are looking at an application, it's called iWorks, has an integration to Airbnb, the company, that would give us the login, or the lead to who's already set up with them. That's only one entity, but it gives us a leg up on having to do it one at a time and locating them.
And you know what? I just want to say that, now that we're kind of touching on that topic, I think it's really good that we're doing these things as far as the permit renewal and
Yes, sir.
previous one. Now this with the Airbnbs and so forth, because I think that people need to understand that by not doing these things, we're missing out on a lot of revenue.
On-
This is revenue that can go a long way towards different projects throughout the city. So this is just another way. We're not out to get everybody, but we are trying to keep everybody honest and fair and pay your share.
Airbnbs and all those property owners are gonna be no different than anybody else knocking on our doors saying
Sure.
their streets need to be paved and they're this, they expect city services, and if
Yes,
they're
sir.
Yep.
running a business, then they should pay like everybody else.
So there's, I just want to make sure that we're all clear on what's happening here. So, because this is just some of moving to the future, right?
Right.
So, like, for instance, the Airbnb, let's just pick on them for now. If you put your deal into the system, they actually charge a tax. The
Yes.
problem is they're not forwarding that tax like they're supposed to.
Yes.
But on top of that, it doesn't let us know what's going on in the city. The same thing with the inspections of the places that we have. If somebody's busy working their restaurant, that's how they get in trouble, because we don't have, even though it's their responsibility, but remember, if they're worried about service, they're not gonna worry about an issue with sewer or where the chicken was laid and stuff like that. That falls on us. But that system doesn't take care of itself. That money's got to come from somewhere to pay that salary. So anybody who thinks that all these things that we're upgrading are picking on people aren't understanding that we're trying to help people stay out of trouble. It's much worse for a restaurant, instead of paying $80 a year, to get shut down for 2-3 weeks or permanently because they didn't keep up with everything they're supposed to, a little at a time. So, and the reason I say this, because I've had people tell me, no, I'm gonna be forced to close down because of $100 a year. I know that they don't mean that. It may seem like it at the time that they got to pay it, but that's just not the case. That money is going towards helping them stay on the right path, and it keeps us knowing what's going on in the city, and it'll tell us if we need more people to help with something or not.
Well, Mayor, it's not even at this point, like, it's, great point as far as the revenues, like Commissioner Martinez mentioned, but it's also safety.
It's safety, yeah.
It's safety and
Absolutely.
inspection, and that's for the citizens
Yeah.
overall. But now on that system, is there gonna be a fine system like on the Airbnbs? Like if they don't pay that, well, we're gonna be able to keep track and
We can shut them down.
and
Yeah,
have
they'll have to
fine?
pay. Yeah, they have to
So
pay
they're
or
gonna
they
have
get
a-
shut
is
down.
it- So we're gonna have a fine system as well.
I just want to say that I think what's important to note in everything that we're doing right now is I think everybody should understand that we're all investors in this city, and we're starting to really turn the corner. When we first got in, we were behind the 8 ball financially. Now we've kind of gotten out of that rut, and now we're operating as a city should. So I hope a lot of citizens understand that this is what you should expect from your local government to do these things. Because just the same as you go and you renew that permit, especially on these businesses that provide services like food and so forth, so do come the inspections, right? And to Commissioner Howe's point, there comes the safety with it, right? This is what you expect. This is how you expect your local government to operate. And that's exactly what we're doing. So in the long run, we may get a few, angry people, but in the grand scheme of things, people are going to see the benefit of it down the road.
And the most key point is, it's not about the revenue, it's about the output of service.
Absolutely.
So you pay, the revenue is for us to be able to provide a service. Equally to that, since we are running more efficiently, we have to be more responsive on fixing the roads and doing the things that we're doing. So, as long as we show that the money's coming in, but it's also going out, that's what I think is most important. Go ahead, Doc. You'll have a final say.
A little wisecrack, but it's probably
Football.
a lot more expensive to run a little food business at a special event for a week or two than what we're going to charge for an entire year too.
Yep.
Yep, no, it's
You
true.
think about that.
And one example of where it worked after getting a lot of pressure was the pop-up parking lots at the stock show. If you look now, the flow of traffic is it's a 20-30 minute wait as opposed to 10-hour wait, and the people just didn't realize they were playing a part in that by blocking traffic. And so now that we have control of it and all, there's still people doing business there, they're just doing it differently. So anyway, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Where am I? The day Christmas parade, approval first reading. Here we go. Approval of first reading of ordinance 2024. Oh, I already did that one. Approval of first reading of ordinance 2024-21 regarding tire disposal inventory. Thank you for that.
Y'all like that? Did y'all
Yes.
read it? Any questions on that? So we're trying to,
Little explanation, yeah. There you go.
we're just trying to make sure that we require the, so we continue to run into a continuous process of having to clean up tires all throughout the city. And we'll find 20 to 40 at a time. It is obvious it's not coming from a resident. It is obvious it's coming from the tire shops. A resident's not gonna go dump 20 tires, okay? And so we'll pick them up and we'll find some more. We obviously need to invest in cameras, but we were trying to get to the source. We believe the source is the tire shops. By having them mark their tires, we'll have a process to identify, it could be shop one, we don't have to put a name, it'll be on the inside of the tire. We find those tires somewhere, we're gonna know where they came from, okay? And so we're just trying to tighten down, and the requirements on how we're gonna be checking the tire shops and making sure we verify how they're disposing of those tires.
Absolutely. Mayor, make a motion to go ahead and approve and forego the first reading of ordinance 2024 regarding tire disposal inventory.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Saldana. Discussion. And I have one, and this is for the PD. If they haven't, I recommend that, that you all look at the regulations for tire transportation. So there's actually regulations out there that if somebody is traveling with a certain amount of tires, they have to have a manifesto with them of where they're taking them. So that's gonna have to be a whole team effort. And I applaud you, city manager, and your team for putting this together, because it not only require us, and by the way, I've seen this going on for about 15 years, and people, they always fall short of that part. Because it's time consuming to go and check to make sure people are doing it.
Right.
But the end result for y'all that haven't had to work in that environment, the biggest problem with our drainage system is the tires. The tires block and capture everything, and they start filling up with dirt, and now they'll be 5, 6, 7, 8 deep in the mud.
Yep.
And now they cause a big problem. So this is huge, bigger than some people may think. And we need to jump on board as a whole, and that's gonna require law enforcement, you guys, and
Code enforcement,
Yep, code
verifying the
enforcement,
manifest to
yep.
make sure they're disposing of them
yep,
properly.
gonna take a team, so thank
sir.
you for doing that, appreciate it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approval, item D, approval resolution 2024-31 to update the authorized account user of the credit card. The credit card, that means there's only one?
Yeah, there's only one. Good evening, Mayor.
That might be one problem right there.
I think we can afford two.
I just wanted to update the name. We currently have 3 credit cards, but one of them is under the accountant that is no longer working for us. So I just want to replace it with the new accountant that we have. in the
Mayor, make a motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez, and forego the reading, please.
Yes, forego the reading, sir.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Item 9E, approval resolution 2024-32 regarding the election of Hidalgo County Appraisal District Board of Directors.
You should have in your packet, under 9E, right? Yeah. What was being presented as Board of Directors. Did y'all get to look at it?
Yes, sir. I was just saying,
Same as last year.
Yes.
So those are the
It was a
choice of
separate,
the votes.
Right.
resumes were on a separate file, but
Yes. Right.
we have 30 votes.
Yeah, so, again, I think we talked about this last time. The one that, and I don't know, I know you got to communicate with them on how this works. So we have 30 votes, we can either spread out, or we can give to one person, that's on here. What I will tell you is that you have people that are local, right? And so for instance, McAllen probably has 5,300 votes.
It's in there, yeah.
Yeah, and ours is 30, and the county's the biggest one.
They have half the votes. all
Yeah,
by
they have
themselves.
half the votes all over. I have a humble recommendation, and that the one that services us locally is Joe Olivares. He's out of Wesco. He's got a lot of family ties here in Mercedes. So my recommendation is that we make sure that a local guy gets in. But it's up to you all, and you guys need to make the motion. But
I'd like to make a motion, give the 30 to Joel or to, sorry.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item F, consideration approval of resolution requiring financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board for constructing various public improvements to the city's utility system. Authorized application. The city's financial advisors, bond counsel, engineers to coordinate the submission of one or more applications to the Texas Water Development Board and other matters in connection therewith.
So as you're familiar, we've been invited back on the submission to the Texas Water Development Board for the clean water. And so this is part of the process.
So we just have to approve or the
Yeah,
the resolution?
the resolution needs to be in place. We're pursuing the 24 million that we submitted for. We've been invited back. And we're still working, Meredith has been working very closely with the financial advisors and the water rate guy to get everything ready for our meeting with Texas Water
Perfect. I
Development
make
Board.
motion to approve the resolution, Mayor.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Saldana. Just to be clear, guys, this may not be the last of it, and there's a litany of check marks that we have to hit.
Yes,
And so we're gonna be checking off a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of work done by our staff, and trust me, man, I see the emails going back and forth. Thank you for what you're doing.
it
Albert,
hasn't been
on that.
pain-free.
It's not been pain-free. It's a gift that keeps on giving, sir.
Yes,
The 30 million is a ceiling, correct? It's not necessarily what we would.
correct. Yes.
Yeah, we would be able to just, I guess, since you're bringing it up for the citizens, we applied for a grant where the ceiling is 30 million. But what limits you is projects, 1, and 2, your ability to match the 20% part of the grant. So all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 10, bids, contracts. Present, discuss, consider possible, take action regarding approval to solicit RFQs for municipal court judge services. And I believe we're talking here for the permanent position.
That's correct.
Just to be
Yes.
clear, because I know there was a lot of discussions. We
Ma-
had interim judges, and
Just till the end of the.
just so the end of the year. So,
if city manager can just explain the short little process of why we did that. I know our wonderful judge Alvarez took a different elected position, so he had to leave us, and so we wouldn't fall behind on some cases, and we didn't know necessarily all his schedule and then his ins and outs.
Right.
As far as that, so what we did was we went ahead and left you in
Yes.
charge of helping us out and find some candidates to help us out here temporary, correct?
That is correct, and these folks are just on board for a temporary stint. They understand that they're being evaluated. They've been given tasks. They know the workload, and they understand our priorities right now. So they're trying to prove themselves and show that they can pull their weight in gold and show that they're going to be productive and not let us get behind.
Right. And
Until we find a permanent solution, which is hopefully maybe in January, whenever you all decide. There'll be probably a recommendation based on evaluation, say, look, this is the performance, this is how many cases they worked, these were the results. The basics will be coming to you guys. It doesn't mean you have to select from them. That's just an option. Y'all can go out and say, hey, we'd like to post it, we'd like to invite, and apply, whatever. But there'll be this plus on the side that's already, they've done a little work.
And that's as far as my 2 cents. I was trying to put this on the agenda. So as far as from my point or 2 cents of it was, I think this will give us ample time to allow the hiring process and other applicants to come into the city and apply, and or for us to also look out and see who else could potentially be the next judge to help us out.
Yes.
And then there would be a hiring process
Right.
that would go through the commission and through the city manager, as well, as far as bringing us the applicants, and then us as a commission approving.
Now, and then if you notice, I ended up with 3 for now. We're able to cover those on a temporary basis. And the decision behind that was if there's a conflict with any of one of them involved in the case, it is passed on to the other. So if anybody has any form of conflict in any form of fashion, because they live close to them, they work with them, or they know whatever, it's not being presented to that judge. And that's the intent behind that.
Can you know, as I know they're probably just started getting adjusted to
Yes.
to all of that, but as those cases become resolved, can you update us?
Yes.
From time to time,
Yes.
saying, hey, look, guys, here's where we stand. Here, we were able to set X number of.
Yes, and you're gonna see activity, people not showing up to court, so there's gonna be some activity behind those people. I mean, because I think they've gotten a little lax for too long, that they don't think they need to show up to court.
Okay.
So basically, guys, just to be clear, we're approving for going out for RFQs already. That's,
That's what you're wanting.
yes, that's
So
what.
what
Mayor, I
you-
make a
More
motion.
discussion?
And the
discussion, Mayor.
the due date on that.
Already, right? Did we first-
I'm sorry?
Did we first and second?
What?
Did we make a motion yet on this?
I'll make a motion, and then I'd like to just ask one quick question.
Okay. You have a motion to go out for RFQs?
You make a
Yeah, I'll make
motion?
a motion to
Second,
go out
second,
for-
second, Commissioner Howell. Discussion, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I was looking at the requirements here, the request for qualifications. All of them kind of, are good. The one that kind of just popped out was must be bondable. Is that a necessary requirement? I just figured because, if something happened, it would probably fall under the city,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It has to be bonded.
Okay, so it has,
He or
okay,
she.
just
I
was
don't-
curious.
And I don't know if there was also one that, that's up to you guys also. I think they have
Okay.
to be an attorney. I don't know if that's you would like to see that or not.
Yeah, we have
It's a
to,
preference.
yeah, that's something else we have to discuss.
I mean,
Really,
that could be set up as a preference.
I think so. I think that'd be for the best.
yeah, we can discuss that in executive.
Yeah.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10B, approval interlocal agreement, Urban County Work Plan, fiscal year 2024-2025.
Mayor, make a motion to go ahead and approve the interlocal agreement for Urban County Work Plan 2024, 2025.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez, second by Dr. Saldana. Any discussion?
Yes, it seems like all of that money except for one little piece is gonna be spent on 2 streets. I think that's a good idea.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor, I like it. Much easier that way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to executive session, chapter 551, Texas Government Code, section 551071, consultation with attorney. Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property. Section 551.074, personnel matters. Section 551.087, we will discussion items A through D. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. All those pairs say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're in executive session. It is 8:08 PM. Your Huckleberry. All right. Good evening. Welcome back. It's 9:22 p.m. I believe we have, and I call this meeting back into session, back into regular session. And I believe we have no actions for items 12A through D. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Then with that being said, I'll move on to item 13, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Motion, Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Garcia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 9:22 p.m. We are adjourned.